We hear all the complaints from the players. We hear them all, but honestly, the only people they have to blame is themselves.
Yeah, partially functional. Half of me is comfortable. The other half is close to the cliff, like Mrs. Huxtable. These boys got them hoses and clips. They pack like Lunchables. Like
what is the NBA 65 game rule that players have been constantly making noise about? Well, this rule requires players to play a minimum of 65 games, and they have to at least log 20 minutes in each of those games to be eligible for awards such as Most Valuable Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player of the Year, All NBA, and All Defensive Player Team. These accolades and awards also help players if they are eligible for supermaxes. Now, do I believe it's unfair to the injured players? Yes, I do believe it's unfair to the injured players. But I also pose the question, who brought this upon themselves? Who were the ones that brought this rule into play? Well, technically it was the CBA. And basically the CBA called a meeting between the NBA players and the NBA Association. And once that meeting was applied, these players and the people who run the association came together and agreed upon a rule of what they should do for the season. And this rule was agreed upon because fans recently have not liked that their favorite players would just sit out games and not play without a valuable or reasonable explanation. There wouldn't be anything reasonable in terms of players sitting out games, and fans were angry about that. They couldn't get a reason why their favorite player was not playing. Now, we all understand injuries and we all understand illnesses and sickness. If that's not being provided to the fans, then of course the fans are going to be upset. So I'm actually in favor of this rule because I know every time my favorite player in the past few seasons would not play and there wouldn't be any provided information of why they wouldn't play, I would be very upset. Superstar players are making the argument that it could possibly hurt them because they're trying to vie for NBA accolades, and when they're vying for that, they're not listening to their body if they're actually injured, which I can understand that point of view. But that's also part of the job. If we look in the past, players like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, they all averaged 75 plus games a season since they played, and they all had very long careers. We've seen players, superstar players in the past, play without incentives, play without all this kind of money, and not complain once about playing the game of basketball that they love. If we look at NBA history, only 5 players have won an MVP below 65 games. And only one of those players won those MVPs below 65 games without a shortened season. And that player was in 1977-78 season, Bill Walton. That is the only player in NBA history that has won an MVP below 65 games without a shortened season. Everyone else played most of the games in the season to win the MVP, including Joel Embiid, who last year played 66 games, which is just above the 65 game rule. So to be fair, I believe you have to play 65 games as an NBA player. It's required, and it's also a job. Even though you're playing basketball for fun, you're also playing for the fans as well. So I do think it's unfair for NBA players to complain about this rule, especially when they brought this rule to themselves. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing? Go ahead, click that red button, subscribe, comment, and let me know your thoughts about the rule. Do you agree with the rule? And if not, tell me why you don't agree with it. And until next time, guys, Milos out. Peace.
My shit made these niggas don't like us. Yeah, be like disciples. On top of your roof, you can see all the snipers. Feeling me, this not a cipher. I peep their nose on my wiper. Back in New York, got me rocking my Timbs.